I love it when sequels that you never think are going to happen, and that's exactly the case here with Mirror's Edge Catalyst. This is, of course, from DICE, who makes all kinds of money from Battlefield and now Star Wars Battlefront. And I guess what's going on here is Electronic Arts says, well, you can have a little indie film division, and you can make us Mirror's Edge Catalyst, because I think what happened with the first Mirror's Edge, obviously it was a cult classic when it came out, and people appreciated its originality, its sort of toned-down violence, its freeform parkour type of exploration. All of that stuff is kind of carried over here, but Mirror's Edge kind of sort of existed in solitude, the original. And I think what happened is, over time, a lot of people discovered it. They went back into their previous console library, or they found it on the PC, and they kept playing it. And I think there has been a sizable audience built for this game over the years. The question is that audience going to show up for this game, which is unfortunately being released the week before the big E3 show, and all the news is going to be on all the hot new games that are going to be coming out for the rest of this year and for 2017. Mirror's Edge Catalyst is worth your time, though. I'm going to cut it right to that. It is definitely a fun experience. The core parkour experience is riveting and enjoyable. It does get a little frustrating because you're literally running along the city of glass, and so there are reflections everywhere. There are platforms that are near invisible because everything is made out of glass. So you're going to be doing a lot of stumbling and fumbling and falling and screaming at the TV going, "What? I made that!" But then you didn't really make that. But you know what? It's okay, because there are some gameplay additions like the runner's vision, which puts a red follow me line all the way through the environment for you to make it much easier to kind of navigate and discern where you're supposed to go. And I'll tell you something, this is a game where as you approach these obstacles and you're leaping off of air vents and off of edges of some balconies and things like that, and trying to jump and fly and fling your body across a giant chasm of a concrete tower, and you make those jumps and you do this cool roll mechanic and you just keep on running, and you have this momentum that just builds up, and you're shooting out these lines to swing off out of your very useful wristband, and all of this sort of pace and momentum is kind of maintained. You feel like a superhero, and there are definitely some connections to the mobility and the movement that I experience when I play a game like a great Spider-Man title like Shattered Dimensions or Spider-Man 2 or something. It's definitely not that crazy. You're not flipping and flying and swinging yourself all over the city, but that sense of forward motion and forward movement and ability is really well represented in this experience, and that's what makes the game worth it. The story is a little bit ridiculous. Of course, we're talking about an oppressive regime that has to be toppled by a band of rebels, and then there's some interpersonal kind of stuff which you can see coming from a mile away.
Good luck with that. Luck's my thing.
There is some flashback type sequences. We get to see, a few kind of dream pieces where we see Faith as a young girl, and we kind of get to understand a little bit of her backstory and stuff. It's not elegantly told, all of this stuff. I mean, it looks cool, but it isn't like the most profound storytelling that you're going to find out there. It kind of is by the numbers, and we've seen these kinds of video game stories many times before. But there is something so compelling and attractive about Faith as a character. She's so unique and so original and so competent that it's hard not to applaud the risks taken to bring her back and to bring her story forward. I think this is a very cool accomplishment on the part of DICE, and it's obviously passionate team that probably had to kind of fight and scrap for every piece of resource that they got to get this thing to market. It's not going to be one of EA's biggest games for the year. You can kind of count on that. But I think it's one of the most interesting games that EA has got coming for the year. And, I have to tell you that, rote story aside, the clunky kind of combat aside, this is a game where you actually feel like it's cooler to just run from the people that are shooting at you and trying to hit you with their batons than it is to kind of get into the combat. The combat is clunky. You feel like you're just waving your arms and your legs around, and people just sort of fall through the geometry and stuff. Everybody looks like, whoa, we're back in perfect dark here again. It just looks a little bit weird. But it doesn't feel that great when you topple these guys. It should feel a lot better. It does feel cool when you take a giant leap off of a building and then you jump kick a guy and just boot him into oblivion. That's kind of fun. Overall, this is an enjoyable experience. There is some asynchronous multiplayer stuff where you can create challenges for other people and share those and sort of compete leaderboard style. There's lots of little things to unlock. You get these runner kits that give you new logos and emblems, and even different versions of your Echo, which you can call up. You can also fast travel to safe houses and fast travel to events and stuff like that. If you do get tired of doing all the clambering and climbing and running and sprinting and flying that you do in this game, but I think you won't. That's the beauty and the surprise of this game. Just the enjoyment of traversing through this city of glass is ridiculously rewarding. It just feels super fun, and they nailed that. It does feel like one extra addition to the gameplay should have been there. I mean, we have a little bit of the intrigue, we have a little bit of the toppling of the oppressive sort of controlling force. We have all of this mobility and these cool extras like the zip lines and things like that. But it does feel like one extra thing should have been added in there. I don't know what it is. Maybe hang gliding or something like that. I don't know. That's up to game designers to kind of figure out, but it does feel like 2/3 of a pretty phenomenal game is in place here, and they needed to improve that combat. Even still, I really dig this game. You gotta play it somehow. You don't have to rush out and buy it, opening week at full price. I wouldn't recommend that unless you're a huge, die-hard Mirror's Edge fan. I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10. Hey, thanks for checking out that video on our EPN channel. It's just one small part of the things that we make around here. So if you liked it, don't forget to check out some of our other vids and hit that subscribe button.